We all have a tendency to overreact to the NFL more than any other league. With 82 games in the NBA, if a team like the Lakers has a bad stretch in, say, mid December, it's not really a cause for concern. In the NFL, a team or a quarterback can have one, two bad games in a row, and it seems like the sky is falling and the season is doomed. There are three quarterbacks right now that I feel like are taking a lot of unjustified heat from their fan bases and the media for either struggling or the state of their teams or both. I'm going to go over all three quarterbacks today and explain why people need to lay off of them a little bit. We're going to start with Carson Wentz in Philadelphia. There is a sizable portion of the fan base in Philadelphia calling for Doug Peterson to replace Carson Wentz with Jalen Hurts. They are thinking with their emotions instead of thinking objectively. Replacing Carson Wentz with Jalen Hurts at this point would be a huge mistake. For Jalen Hurts, it would severely hinder his development. He had a truncated offseason, no preseason, and you would essentially be throwing him into the lion's den without a weapon. Let me explain why. The Eagles are missing 7 offensive linemen. 7. Eagles fans are complaining about Carson Wentz and his poor decision making. Well, he is being forced into poor decisions because he doesn't have any time to throw the football. Take Sunday against Baltimore, for example. Carson Wentz dropped back 47 times. He was pressured on 24 of those dropbacks. So 50% of the time that he stepped back in the pocket, he's got someone in his face. He was hit 16 times, sacked 3. Carson Wentz has been sacked 25 times already this season, by far the most in the NFL. His critics will point to the fact that he's only completing 40% of his passes while he's under pressure. It's all his fault. That couldn't be further from the truth. I don't care who your quarterback is. When they are under that kind of consistent pressure, they're going to struggle. What happens, even when they do have time in the pocket, they are constantly looking over their shoulder. They're waiting on that next hit to come. Drew Brees and Tom Brady, 2 of the best quarterbacks to ever play in the NFL. Do you know how you beat them? Consistent pressure. You look at games where Tom Brady or Drew Brees struggle. It's because the defense pressured them throughout the game. Now, I'm not saying Carson Wentz is blameless here. When he does have time, he's got a habit of holding on to the football for too long. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Philadelphia is constantly in second and third and long situations. But the bottom line is, the Eagles are once again one of the most banged up teams in the league. And that's not on Carson Wentz. That is on the medical staff in Philadelphia. That is on the constant turnover in the medical staff the past couple of years. That's one of the reasons half the damn roster stays on IR. Anthony Davis went through a similar situation when he was in New Orleans. There was constant turnover with the medical staff in New Orleans. And there were constant injuries on the roster every year, which is one of the reasons the Pelicans could never win consistently in the 7 years that Anthony Davis was in New Orleans. I know fans in Philadelphia are clamoring right now for Jalen Hurts, but I don't think it's time to quit on Carson Wentz. The Eagles are 1-4-1, and they're still the front runner to win the NFC East. The schedule has been brutal the first 6 weeks of the season, but it's about to ease up a bit. They've got the Giants twice over the next 3 weeks, with the Cowboys in the middle of that stretch. That is 3 winnable division games. You could be looking at the Eagles being 4-4-1 next month and firmly atop the NFC East. So, relax a little bit on the Carson Wentz hate. This is the same guy that carried a team to the playoffs last season that was full of practice squad players because of all the injuries. Just think that he should be given the benefit of the doubt here. Plus, the Eagles are locked into his massive contract until at least 2022, so it's doubtful that he's going to get benched anytime soon. Let's get to Andy Dalton in Dallas. Andy Dalton, taking a beating. He took a lashing on Twitter during the game on Monday night because the Cowboys once again got embarrassed. This time it was by Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. A couple of things here with Andy Dalton. One, dude is in an entirely new offensive system. Just like I said a second ago with Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia, Andy Dalton didn't have an offseason with the Cowboys. He didn't have a preseason to get acclimated to Mike McCarthy's system. He was literally just thrown in after Dak Prescott went down for the season. I think there was a little bit of false confidence after Andy Dalton's performance late in that game against the Giants. I mean, he looked good. I believe a lot of Cowboys fans thought that was going to translate the rest of the season. But that's just not how it works in the NFL. You see this a lot. Starting quarterback, lost in the middle of the game due to an injury. Backup comes in, looks like an all-pro. The following week, when they're going up against a defense that's had a full week to prepare for them, they look god-awful. Jerry Jones didn't do Andy Dalton any favors by going on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas Tuesday morning and talking about how glaring the difference is between Andy Dalton and Dak Prescott. Jerry Jones was alluding to the fact that the Cowboys had come back from double-digit deficits all season with Dak Prescott, but weren't able to do the same with Andy Dalton. I happen to disagree completely. It looked to me like the same Cowboys team that we've seen all season. Ezekiel Elliott, the highest paid fumbler in the NFL. The Cowboys, for the 5th time this season, committing multiple turnovers in the same game. Once again, the Cowboys find themselves in a double-digit deficit. What the hell's the difference? The only difference is the name on the back of the quarterback's jersey. Look, give Andy Dalton some time. He is a veteran quarterback, but it's still going to take him time to learn this offense. At the end of the day, though, it doesn't matter because the Cowboys aren't winning many games this season with that pathetic defense. Dallas has the worst defense in the NFL. Last in turnovers forced. Second to last stopping the run. 27th in yards allowed. The Cowboys defense has given up 35 or more points 4 times this season. And you could really call it 5 since the Giants scored 34. Close enough. All you Cowboys fans bitching about Andy Dalton, it could be a whole lot worse. You better be happy you have him, because if you didn't, you'd have Ben DiNucci or Garrett Gilbert as your quarterback. You'd be staring down the barrel of a 2-14 season without Andy Dalton. I want to close this out with Josh Allen in Buffalo. In my opinion, of the 3 quarterbacks that are on this little list of mine, Josh Allen, I'll admit, deserves the most criticism. Not at the level that he's receiving, but he does deserve a little criticism for his play the last couple of weeks. I had Josh Allen in the MVP conversation the first 4 weeks of the year. Through 4 games, he had 12 touchdowns to 1 interception. He was completing north of 70% of his passes. It looked like the poor decision-making that had plagued him the first 2 years of his career had been rectified. Then, he runs into the Titans and the Chiefs. And now it seems like we're right back to where we were last season. Both the Titans and the Chiefs took away the deep ball from Josh Allen, which is how the Bills were dominating the first 4 weeks of the year. In his first 4 games, Josh Allen had 11 completions of 20 or more yards. The last 2 weeks, he's had 1. Now, I'm willing to give Josh Allen the benefit of the doubt. I'm normally hard on third-year guys like Baker Mayfield, for example. But that's because in Baker Mayfield, I don't see a lot of progress. I see flashes of brilliance from Josh Allen. And those flashes are becoming more common. He just has a tendency to follow them up with games like we've seen the last 2 weeks. We have these unrealistic expectations sometimes on young quarterbacks in the NFL that they should all just catch on like a Patrick Mahomes or a Tom Brady. Both Mahomes and Brady stepped in and seemingly had instant success. It just doesn't usually happen like that. Most quarterbacks, most young quarterbacks, they take the Drew Brees or Peyton Manning path. A few years of struggling with flashes of progress in between. until they perfect their craft. I feel like Josh Allen is at that stage of his career where he is struggling at times, but he is perfecting his craft. He's learning who he is as a leader and a quarterback. Plus, there are bigger problems in Buffalo right now than Josh Allen. What in the hell happened to the Bills' defense? Last season, Buffalo's defense gave up 400 or more yards twice. This year, they've already given up that many yards 3 times. We're only 6 weeks into the season. They've went from the second best defense in the league to number 21. The defense in Buffalo right now reminds me of the Saints defense in New Orleans. Both of those defenses rely on their home crowds for momentum, for energy. The Bills' defense has been completely ineffective this season with no fans in the stands, which is a huge problem because they're in New York, where Comrade Andrew Cuomo is showing no signs of allowing fans back into the stadium. He's also showing no signs of allowing the population of New York to get back to their normal lives, but that's a topic for another channel. Luckily for Josh Allen, he's got a prime opportunity to regain some confidence this week. The Bills are playing the Jets, but the schedule beefs up a bit after that. New England, Seattle, Arizona, the Niners, Steelers, Broncos. With the defense in Buffalo playing at this level, the Bills need the MVP caliber Josh Allen that we saw the first 4 weeks of the season. I understand he's still developing, but he's got to be more consistent. He has got to play better if Buffalo wants to win the AFC East and get a home playoff game. All right, that's all for today. Hit that like and subscribe button. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Leave me a comment in the section below. Should the Eagles replace Carson Wentz with Jalen Hurts? Does it really even matter who the starting quarterback is right now in Dallas since the Cowboys are going nowhere fast this season? And should I be more critical of Josh Allen like I am of Baker Mayfield? Let me know your thoughts. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. If you have any questions, a topic you'd like me to discuss, you can email me at BTLKC84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys next time.